I had learnt to leave a place the way you leave a sleeping animal, quietly and without looking back to see if it had woken. So I did not look at the gate. I had walked since the middle of the night to reach the Western Road before the pack woke, because the Western Road was the only one that did not pass through anyone who would know my face, and I had 4 years of practice at not being known. The frost had gone to water on the grass. My boots were wet through. I had a heel of bread, a knife I had never once used on anything that could bleed, and the particular lightness of a woman who owns nothing she is afraid to lose. That last part I had worked hard for. I recommend it to no one. The gate was open. That was the thing I noticed, the thing I told myself not to notice. The great iron gate of the pack that had thrown me out stood open at dawn, both leaves drawn back, though no patrol was due in and none was riding out. A single torch still burned in its bracket, gone pale and useless in the grey light, as though someone had lit it in the dark and then forgotten every night to put it out. I kept walking. I was very good at walking. There was a child at the gate. I saw him the way you see a thing you have trained yourself not to want, all at once and too late to look away. He stood just inside the open leaves, small and dark-haired, in a nightshirt and one boot, the way children escape into mornings before anyone has caught them. A boy of perhaps 4. He had been watching the road. He was watching me. I had been a healer's apprentice once, before I had been nothing. I knew how to keep my face still. I kept it still. The boy did not. Something went across him. I can only call it recognition, though he had never in his life seen me with eyes that could remember it. And then he was through the gate and onto the road and running, both arms out, his one bare foot slapping the wet stone, and he was making the sound that small children make when the distance between them and the thing they want is unbearable and closing. I should have stepped aside. I had spent 4 years learning to step aside. He hit me at the knees and wrapped himself around my legs and turned his face up, and the word he said, the word he had no reason on this earth to say to the stranger on the road. Mama. I have tried, since, to describe what the bond does, and I have never managed it to anyone who has not felt it. The closest I have come is this. It is like being handed back a limb you had taught yourself to live without. There is no joy in the first instant. There is only the screaming of every nerve that had gone quiet, waking at once. I had given birth to this child in the dark of the healer's undercroft, with old Signa's hand over my mouth, so the wrong people would not hear. I had held him for the length of one night. At dawn they had taken him away to be cleaned and warmed, which was reasonable, which was kind. And I had let them, because I was 19 and emptied out, and I still believed the world ran on reasons. By the next dawn I had been on this same road, with a folded paper in my fist that bore the Alpha King's seal, walking west, and the reason the world had given me was that I was an Omega who had presumed too high, that the King's wolf had erred in choosing me, that the error had been corrected, and that if I ever set foot inside the gate again, I would not leave it living. I had turned 24 in the spring, a woman grown by any law of any pack. I had not seen my son's face since it was a day old. I knelt down on the wet road, because my legs had stopped being willing to hold me, and I put my arms around him, and I did the dry, sensible thing I had promised myself I would do if the bond ever found me again. I fell completely apart. The horn went up on the wall before I had finished. Of course it did. A figure on the road in the arms of the air, at the gate that should have been empty. I would have sounded it myself. Boots came down the stone. The boy's grip on me tightened. He had felt the change in the air before he understood it, the way his kind do. A woman's voice cut over the rest, and I knew it before before I looked up, the way you know a draft from a particular crack in a particular wall. Take the child. Hands closed on the boy and lifted him off me, and he wailed, and I let them, because 4 years had taught me that the surest way to lose a thing is to be seen holding it too hard. His name was Orin. He had told me between sobs, with the terrible pride of a small person who has only just learned it. Corva had not changed. She had the kind of face that does not age so much as sharpen. She had been the old king's choice for his son, before the old king died, before the son's wolf made its own choice in front of the whole court and humiliated her in the doing. She stood now in grey and silver, with the boy reaching toward me from her arms, and she looked down at me on the road and arranged her features into sorrow. "I know this face," she said, to the gathering watch, not to me. "This is the Omega who threw herself at our king and was sent away for it. The one who abandoned the child, she now comes crawling back to claim." She let it settle. She was good. She had always been good. There is a standing order on her life. Honour it. The guards looked at one another. A sword came halfway from its sheath. I did the arithmetic of my own death quite calmly, kneeling there. I had done it before. I found I did not very much mind, except that the boy was watching, and I did not want the last thing he learned about his mother to be how she looked with a blade in her. Hold! I knew that voice too, though I had heard it only a handful of times in my life, and never once aimed at me. It went through the yard and stopped everything in it. The sword went back down. The watch went to stone. The Alpha King came through his own open gate on foot, which I would later learn he never did. And he was exactly as I had spent 4 years remembering him and refusing to remember him. Tall, dark, still in the particular way that very strong things are still. A man who had never once had to raise his voice because the world had agreed long ago to go quiet whenever he might want to use it. Edric of the Iron Territories. The strongest wolf alive, they said. I had no reason to doubt it. He had thrown me out of his kingdom with a paper and a seal, and had not troubled himself to do it to my face. I got to my feet. I would not be looked at on my knees by this man. That much I had left. He was not looking at me the way I had braced for. I had expected the cold thing, the dismissal, the gaze that slides off you because you are beneath the trouble of focus. That was not what I got. He had stopped a full 5 paces from me. Too far, absurdly far, the distance you keep from a fire you are not yet sure of. And he was looking at me as though I were a word in a language he had been told was dead. "Say it again," he said. Not to me, to the boy. Orin, hiccuping in Corva's arms, said it again. "Mama." I watched something happen to the most powerful man in the territories that I do not think he had any say in. It was very small. His hand at his side opened. That was all. It opened the way a hand opens when it has been holding something for a long time and has just been told it may set the thing down. "Bring her inside," he said. Corva's voice came fast and smooth. "My lord, the order." I wrote no order. He had not raised his voice. He still did not. But the yard heard it, every soul in it. And I saw the watch captain's face change as a thing he had believed for 4 years quietly came apart. "Bring her inside. Now." They put me in a room with a fire and a door that was not locked, which I checked twice, because a door that is not locked is its own kind of test, and I have failed gentler ones. Sina found me before the hour was out. She was older than the world, and had been old when I was a child. And she came in without knocking, with a bowl of something hot, and she set it down, and she looked at me, and the two of us did not say a single sensible thing to each other for some time. She had held a hand over my mouth in the dark, so my son could be born without being heard. She had told me, that last dawn, to run and not to argue. And I had not understood that she was not betraying me. I understood it now, watching her weep without moving any part of her face but her eyes, which is a skill you only learn in a place where weeping is dangerous. "He looks for you," she said at last. "Every dawn. 4 years. Why do you think the gate stands open?" I had a number of clever things ready, and I said none of them because the floor had gone strange under me. He cast me out. It came out flat. I had said it to myself so many times that it had worn smooth, like a stone in a river. And like a stone in a river, it had no give left in it. The paper had his seal. Sina looked at me for a long moment. Then she said a thing that took the last 4 years and turned them over like a card on a table. "He was at the border when you whelped. He did not come home for 2 months. By the time he did, they had told him you rejected the bond and ran, that you left the babe behind you. He has spent 4 years believing you wanted neither of them." She picked up the bowl again and put it back into my hands, because she was the kind of woman who could not deliver a blow without also making sure you ate. And every dawn since, he has opened that gate with his own hands, in case the telling was a lie. I held the bowl. It was very hot. I let it hurt my hands, because the alternative was to feel the other thing, and I was not ready. I did not sleep. I sat by the fire, and I did the thing I am worst at, which is to consider that I might have been wrong about something for 4 years. It is a particular humiliation, being wrong for that long. It is worse when being wrong would have cost you less than being right. I had built an entire person out of the belief that the Alpha King had looked at me, weighed me, and found me beneath keeping. That person knew how to walk away from anything. I was not sure I knew how to be anyone else. And Sina's account asked me to set that person down in the road and leave her there. And I did not yet know whether I could walk without her. So I did what I have always done when I cannot think. I went to find out. If you have come this far down the road with me, stay a little longer. What I found when I went looking for him is the part I have never been able to tell straight, even to myself. And if her side of these stories is the side you came for, follow along before you go on, so the next one finds you. Now, where was I? I went to find him. I found him where Signa's eyes had told me he would be, without her ever saying it. In the room above the hall, where a single light still burned. The only light left in the fortress at that hour, which is its own kind of confession, if you know how to read a building. He did not startle when I opened the door. He had heard me on the stairs. He had probably heard me leave my own room. He was standing at a long table with a map spread under his hands, and the map was the territories and the lands beyond them, west to the sea, and it was marked. Marked everywhere. Small notations in a hard, even hand, in towns and villages and crossings, each one a place where someone had gone and looked and not found me. 4 years of not finding me, written down. I had come up the stairs full of things to say. I said none of them. I looked at the map of all the places he had sent men to find a woman he had been told did not want to be found. And I felt the river stone I had carried so long finally give. "You are angry," he said. He did not turn from the map. "You have a right to it. I would only ask that you aim it correctly. It took me 4 years to learn where it belonged. I would not have you waste the time. They told me you signed the order. They told me you ran." He turned then. 5 paces again. kept putting that distance between us as though it were a courtesy or a cage, and I could not yet tell which. I have read it a great many times, the version of you that left. I never once believed it. My wolf would not let me. But a man cannot ride out and search the whole world on the word of his own wolf against the word of his court. And so I rode out on it anyway. And they decided their king had gone mad with grief, and they were not entirely wrong. I have been told I am hard to surprise. It is one of the few compliments I have ever fully earned. He surprised me. "Why the gate?" I said. "Why open it yourself?" Something moved in his face that he had not given permission to. "Because a closed gate is a decision," he said, "and I had not made it. I should have softened. The story wanted me to soften. I have noticed that the moments most worth telling are the ones where you do the opposite of what the story wants." "I held him for one night," I said. "Do you know what they take when they sever a bond on a wolf too weak to refuse? Not the love. That would be a mercy. They take the quiet. For 4 years I have not had one moment that did not have a hole in it the exact shape of 2 people. And you stood in your warm gate every dawn and grieved me like a dead wife, while I learned to walk with that hole. And I do not know how to be sorry for you. I tried, on the stairs just now. I could not manage it." He took that the way a wall takes weather. Then he did a thing I did not expect. He came around the table, 1 step, 2, closing that careful 5 paces to 1, and he held out his hand, palm up, an offer, not a grasp. The most powerful wolf alive, asking. "I am not asking you to be sorry for me," he said. "I am asking you to let me stop being sorry from a distance." I looked at his open hand. "I am not too proud to tell you that I wanted to take it the way you want water. I am also not too proud to tell you what I did instead, which was to put my own hands behind my back like a child refusing supper. Because the last time I trusted the warmth of this place, it cost me everything I had. And a hole the shape of 2 people teaches you things that one warm night does not unteach." "Not yet," I said. He closed his hand. He did not look wounded. He looked, if anything, like a man who had just been handed the first honest thing in 4 years and meant to keep it. "Not yet," he agreed. "I have a great deal of practice at waiting at that gate." It was, I am sorry to report, very nearly funny. I stayed. I told myself it was for the boy, and it was not only that. And I have since made my peace with being a person who can hold 2 true things at once. I will not pretend the days were tender. The court did not know what to do with me. A returned Omega, a fugitive by their own standing belief, sitting at the king's table because a 4-year-old had decided the matter. It offended every rule they owned. They were not entirely wrong to be unsettled. I unsettled myself. But there were mornings. Orin had a habit of arriving in any room I was in at a dead run, as though he had to reach me before I could become a thing he had only imagined. He showed me everything he owned, twice. He told me, gravely, that his father was the strongest wolf alive and could not catch a chicken, and that he had seen this with his own eyes, and that I must tell no one. I promised. I have now told everyone, but the boy is older and forgives me. I watched the king with his son, and I revised, quietly, every estimate I had ever made of him. A man can hide a great deal behind a cold gate, cannot hide it from a child who wants to be lifted onto a horse. I once saw Edric of the Iron Territories, the terror of 3 borders, spend the better part of an afternoon pretending to be unable to find a boy who was very plainly behind the same curtain he had been behind for an hour. The court pretended not to watch. The court watched. I do not think they had ever seen the thing they were looking at, and I do not think they had a name for the way it frightened them. Corva had a name for it. Corva named it bewitchment. She did it properly, which I respected, in the way you respect a blade that is at your throat. She did not come at me. She went to the council. She told the advisors what they already half believed, that their king had not been right since the border, that a low wolf with a child's word for a key had walked into the heart of the pack, that an Omega once judged unfit was now sleeping 3 doors from the heir. She asked for a council to rule on me under the standing order. She had 4 years of being the sensible one in the room, and sensible is a hard thing to argue against in a hall full of frightened men. They convened in the great hall beneath the wolf throne with the whole court to witness, because Corva understood, as well as I did, that a thing done in front of enough eyes becomes true. I was made to stand in the open floor. I have stood in worse places. I kept my chin where it belonged. There is a standing order, Corva told the hall, sealed by the king's own hand, that this woman dies if she crosses the gate. She has crossed it. I ask only that the law the king made be honoured. She turned to the throne, and her voice went soft and sorrowful, and entirely without mercy. Unless my lord means to tell this court he never made it, that the order we have all lived under for 4 years is a forgery, that someone in this hall lied to their king, in his grief, with his own seal. She let it hang. That is a great deal to ask a court to believe of a royal house. It is far easier to believe a king is bewitched. It was very good. She had built a door with only 1 room behind it. Either Edric upheld an order that would kill me, or he called his own court liars and his own seal a fraud, and looked, in the doing, exactly as mad as she had spent 4 years saying he was. I watched him sit with it. I watched the trap close, and then I did the thing I am, after all, best at, which is to refuse to wait for a man to save me. "I have the paper," I said. All went very quiet. I reached into my coat, slowly, because there were armed men present and I am not a fool, and I drew out the folded paper I'd carried west 4 years before and had never once been able to make myself burn. I had told myself I kept it as a reminder. I am no longer certain that was the reason. "The seal is real," I said. "I have looked at it 10,000 times, but the hand that wrote the words above it is not the king's." I had been a healer's apprentice. I had copied his orders to the infirmary for the better part of a year, in the time before, when I was no one and free to be near him. I know his letters. He crosses nothing the way this is crossed. Whoever forged this had his seal, but not his hand. And only 1 person in this pack held the seal while he was away at the border. I did not point. I did not have to. The hall did it for me. Every face turning at once toward the woman in grey and silver. And I watched 4 years of being the sensible one come off Corva like a cloak in the wind. She had a blade. I should have expected it. Sensible people always keep a second plan. What I did not expect was that she would not come for me. She came for the paper. She crossed the floor faster than grief should allow, and her hand was out for the 1 piece of proof in the world. And I did the only thing 4 years of holes the shape of 2 people had left me able to do. I turned my body around it, the way you turn around a sleeping child, and her blade went across the back of my hand instead of into the paper, and opened it to the bone. Here is the part I cannot explain to anyone who has not felt the bond take hold. The pain of the cut I barely noticed, the other thing arrived with it. The bond, 4 years severed, slamming home all at once, because the body that carried it had finally chosen to bleed for what it loved, instead of walking away from it. It was not warmth. I want to be honest about that, because the songs lie. It was the cold of every dawn I had spent on that road, driving back into my bones at once. The full weight of 4 years of quiet with a hole in it, crushing the air from my lungs. The wolf I had taught to be silent, waking with a scream. I went down on one knee on the stone. I kept the paper off the ground. I did not let go of it, and I did not let go of the bond, though both of them were trying to take my hand off at the wrist. And I chose, I want that word on the record, I chose to hold on. When I looked up, Corva was no longer standing. Edric had come off the throne. I had not seen him move, which tells you a thing about a man that size. He had her wrist in one hand, and the blade was on the stone, and he was not looking at her at all. He had eyes only for the blood coming through my fingers, and the thing in his face was not a king's thing. It was the face of a man watching the one outcome he had spent 4 years arranging the whole world to prevent. Take her, he said of Corva, and the guards who had half drawn on me an hour before fell over themselves to seize her, because a court can change its mind very quickly once it remembers which way the wind truly blows. Corva said my name like a curse. I did not give her the satisfaction of being the last thing I looked at. Edric knelt. The Alpha King of the Iron Territories went down on the stone of his own hall, in front of the court that had spent the morning preparing to execute me, and he took my ruined hand in both of his. As carefully as though the bone showing through frightened him more than any blade ever had. You owe me nothing, he said. And he said it to the whole hall, not only to me, in the voice that made rooms go quiet. Hear it. She owes this house nothing. My wolf chose her 4 years ago and did not ask my leave. And I have spent every dawn since trying to catch up to a creature wiser than I am. I am still trying. I will keep the gate open as long as it takes. I was bleeding a fair amount, and the bond was still trying to take me apart from the inside. And so, I would like history to note that I held myself together long enough to say the thing the moment required, which was, "You truly cannot catch a chicken." The hall did not know whether it was permitted to laugh. Orin, who had escaped someone again and arrived at a dead run, suffered no such doubt. He laughed, and then the whole hall did, the way a held breath goes out of a body, and the Alpha King knelt there, holding my broken hand, and laughed too. And that, not the blade, not the paper, not the throne, is the moment I knew I was home. Because I had made the strongest wolf alive laugh on the floor of his own court, and no one had ever once told me that was a thing a person like me was allowed to do. The fallout was not clean, because nothing that costs 4 years is. Corva had a house, and houses have loyalties, and there were weeks of careful work pulling the rot out by its roots, without bringing the whole wall down with it. In the end, she was stripped of her name and her lands, and put out the western gate at dawn, with a folded paper of her own, which Edric wrote in his own hand, every letter of it, so there could never again be a question of whose words they were. I did not watch her go. I had spent enough of my own life on that road. I did not need to see another woman start down it, not even her. Sina stitched my hand in the healer's quarters, with the king standing in the doorway being told, repeatedly, that he was in the way. He did not leave. He merely moved his being in the way from one part of the room to another, which I found I did not mind. When she had finished and gone, and it was only the two of us and the fire, and the particular particular silence of his fortress that I had once found so terrible, and now did not. I held out my hand. The whole one, palm up. It is not lost on me that I made him wait for it. I am not sorry. Some things you only get to give once, and I wanted to be the one who gave it. He looked at my open hand, the way I had looked at his 3 nights before, in the room above the hall. Not yet, he asked. He was, I think, trying not to hope. He was very bad at it. For the strongest wolf alive, he was remarkably easy to read. Once you understood that the stillness was not coldness, but a man holding himself very carefully so as not to break a thing he had been told he could never have. Yet, I said. He took my hand, and when he kissed me, it was not the thing the songs are about, the heat and the falling. It was quieter and far worse, in the way the best things are worse. It was the sound of a gate I had carried for 4 years finally being allowed to close. The whole the exact shape of 2 people, filling at last with the 2 people. The silence afterward no longer empty for the first time since I was 19. I had grieved that silence for 4 years. I got it back. That is the whole of what I will tell you about the kiss. The rest of it is mine. A year is a strange unit. It is long enough to learn a fortress, and short enough to still be surprised by one. A year on, I am the Luna of the Iron Territories, which is a sentence I set down the way you might set down that you have grown a second head, accurately, and with some ongoing astonishment. The court has made its adjustments. A court always does. It is the most adaptable creature in any kingdom, far more so than the wolves who run it. The chair beside the king's at the high table, which I am told sat empty for 4 years, and which no one had ever been permitted to explain, has a person in it now. Sometimes that person has a small boy asleep on her shoulder, with butter somehow in his hair. The court has decided this is dignified. The court will decide anything is dignified, if you only keep doing it without apologising. Orin tells people I came home on the Western Road at dawn, which is true, and that he caught me, which is truer than he knows. He is learning his letters. He crosses his 7s the way his father does, and I have not yet told either of them that I notice everything, because it is the one advantage I have ever had, and I intend to keep it a while longer. We still open the gate at dawn. Edric asked me that first spring whether I wanted the order rescinded, whether the open gate was a wound I would rather close, now that I was on the inside of it. I thought about it longer than he expected. Then I told him to leave it open. Not for me. I am home. I do not need a door held for me anymore. Leave it open, I said, for whoever else is out there on a Western road at dawn, carrying a folded paper and a hole the exact shape of 2 people, who has been told there is nothing behind these walls for them, and has not yet been given a reason to disbelieve it. Leave the gate open. You never do know who is trying to come home. And you, wherever you are, whatever hour it is where you are listening, tell me, did you see it coming? The boy at the gate? Or did he catch you the way he caught me, all at once and too late to step aside? Stay and tell me below. Follow along for her side of these stories, and I will keep a torch lit and the gate open for you. Sleep well. It is nearly dawn here, and someone small is already awake.